could you see if you're on there live? No, your problem is this, dude. You didn't even ask me how my mental health is today.
I was getting there. We didn't even start yet.
Someone please tell me if we are on YouTube right now before I start losing my stuff.
I don't see it on YouTube, no.
It's not YouTube, it's YouTube. Here we go. No, we're not anti-Semitic like some people.
Yeah, these pro-Palestinian hotards out there.
Bloody says, waiting for Crazy Train podcast, yeah?
That's what it says. Yep. Paul says you're on YouTube.
Okay, fine. Now it says it's live. Okay. Now we there? Okay, there we are. Thank you. Okay, guys, thank you, and so sorry for the glitch today. Thank you for being a part of my crazy lair and my insane world. And I'm welcoming back to the show one of our most popular guests, Vic Vagina. No, Vic Lagina.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How's your mental health?
It's great. I was literally, it was on the tip of my tongue. It was going to be the first thing I asked you. How is your mental health? How are you doing?
Thank you so much for asking. I'm doing great. I mean, I'm doing amazing. It's been an amazing week. I'm about to go have an amazing weekend with friends and hang out and probably go just go, do putty potting thing. We're thinking about getting a horse and going horseback riding and stuff.
Nice.
So, hey, Jeremy, thank you very much, everyone, for the praise on the Typo Negative interview. And yes, I will give you some more Peter Steele stories. How is your mental health, Vic?
Oh, I'm good. My life is great. Everyone's complaining about how 2025 is terrible and this and that. I think the opposite. I mean, look what happened. My Eagles won their second Super Bowl. Yeah. So all in all, I mean, I'm living the dream over here. And I ate an edible about an hour ago and it's kicking in. So I'm feeling pretty loose as a goose over here. But overall, yeah, I'm happy to see you. It's been a minute. It's been since November, I think we last spoke. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I definitely gained 20 pounds so far. She feeds me very well. But no, last we spoke, we were, my book Filthy was nominated for an AVN, and we were on with Tara Winters, and you encouraged me to go to the AVN Awards.
Was that bad or good?
Well, I never made it because AVN wound up, AVNing, which is fucking up everything. So here's the thing. If you're nominated for an award, hello, Scott Bacon, they make you buy a convention pass, even though you're nominated to go to the awards. An award show I didn't want to go, even when I went up there to get my credentials. My skin was crawling because I was like, it just the vibe was off. And then I saw an agent who I used to do a lot of business with. She looked at me, gave me the stink face, perhaps she read the book and was not happy with me. But overall, I was like, you guys really fucked up. I wound up hanging out with my girlfriend at home. And here is the thing. Not only did I not win the award, okay, there wasn't even an acceptance speech. There was they announced it via PowerPoint presentation.
Huh?
Yeah. So how pissed off would I have been going up there, sitting through that horse shit for 5 fucking hours to not win the award and not even have a chance to jizz all over the porn industry in an acceptance speech. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they fucked it up. You know who did win? Her name is Ryan Keeley. She's a performer, and another performer named Samantha Mack, they were in an Eminem video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what won. So, the way I say, I guess, fuck literature. No one cares about literature anymore. And so I didn't win and I didn't go, and it was a typical bust. But what else is to be expected?
Well, here's the thing, Vic. First of all, a lot of these people are not very articulate and they cannot get up there and make a speech. They are not well spoken like you or I, or like a Ryan or Samantha or a lot of people. You're also dealing with a demographic of people, right, who will not ever have the pleasure of smelling a book.
Or being able to write.
watch things. They get their news off TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the root of everything we're going to talk about today, I
Oh
think.
yeah.
I mean, it really it starts from there, and it just festers into this mass of stupid cancer that is plaguing the world.
It's so soulless, you know what I mean? And oh hey guys, hi, Hellstrom. Yeah, I mean it's a lot of shit going on right now. When I say shit minutia, I mean real minutia. First of all, guys, I know a lot of you know that Bonnie Blue is an adult. Excuse me, Bonnie Blue is a cam girl who did an alleged 1,000 guys. She did 100,000. She claimed she was pregnant, and then on top of that, she now claims this is the best claim to claim she has now. Well, it's a sex record, and I hold this. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Yeah, it's my sex record. People are jealous of me, and my sex records protect women. As she hits back at jealous critics. Let me ask you something. You canceled on my podcast 3 times. First time, okay. Second time, post AVN, this girl was sick. She couldn't make it on the podcast. Third time, she couldn't make this day, but I could meet you. I could meet you for coffee. Why should I take the time out of my day to meet you for coffee? At first, I would have been cool with her on the podcast. We would have had a great time, right? But you want to pull this shit. So let me explain something to you. Lily Phillip, Bonnie Blue, you are not some kind of savior of women getting victimized by men. You are not a savior of women possibly being groomed by or raped by these migrant rape gangs in the UK. You're not a savior of someone getting sexually assaulted. You are a hoe. And a really bad one at that. Then you go on to say you're pregnant. You are a hoe. And that's fine. If you want to be a hoe, be a hoe. Please. We want you to be a hoe. Because there'll be nothing in your life that you could ever do. You will never amount to anything. And I do have some other bit of news for you. Nobody is jealous of you. This is not even my best day. I just had CO2 laser like a week ago. And it's my worst day. And I still look better than you. And I'm twice your age, I'm pretty sure. At least that. So no, you are not prettier. I'm not jealous. We all know that your numbers are shammed because OnlyFans took it off. Then you have this other dote. Let's see, she needed the money. Yeah, I heard her parents were like privileged or something. Let's see what we've got here. And then here's the other dote. It's both of them. Do these girls look the same or is that just me? I know it's not just me, Vic. These girls look the same.
I'll put that up again because they look like the same person.
They're the same girl, but I'm just, okay, so, but Lily
yeah, okay.
Like Bonnie Blue, like otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
There are a couple of fucking dotes. And real quick, someone, yeah, I'll get to the comments in a little bit, but she needs to be schooled. So if you're going to pull these stunts, you don't say you're pregnant. You don't say some kind of savior. You don't say that you're out there stopping things from happening. You just can't. Because what you're doing is you're really taking down the level of stupidity to like a lower level than I've never seen. And these girls that come on, these cam girls, they have nothing to talk about. This is why a lot of times they're not very good interviews because they don't say much. The girls we've had on, the OnlyFans girls that we like that are cool, they're a little bit older, but they're not a couple of girls from Nottingham, a couple of tinkers. And I mean, she does not smell she does not pass that smell test you and I discussed.
Yeah. Well, I think the term for these girls, it's a British term, is slag. Yeah. Now, here's my analysis of this whole situation. We're in the dumpster fire phase of OnlyFans, and we're now just trying to out stupid each other to get more clicks. That's really what's happening. And look, the formula is working because you and I are discussing it right now. The truth is, if people didn't give a shit, then no one would give a shit. My knee-jerk reaction with the 1,000 guys was that would take, if you're going to do it legitimately, like I used to do, it would take a very...
Stop. I'm sorry. Whoa. Backtrack. You did it that...
No. Okay. If you were to do it with sign-ins and do it properly, when you're dealing with like multiple performers in a day, that whole procedure, like even 100 guys seems it would take a long time, like 24 hours. Now you go to 1,000. Come on. First of all, finding them, making sure they're of age, making sure you have 2257, making sure you have releases, making sure you have all of these things to make it a legitimate production would take time. And that in its own, if you don't have the support staff, it's not going to happen. Even with like the 2 pumps that she was allowing these men, I called bullshit from the beginning, and it turned out it was because they couldn't verify.
Well, there's the other thing, because I did one of these. You had to have everyone HIV tested, and no way, nowhere in this world will you find 100 men HIV tested, wearing condoms, under the same roof in one any given Saturday or Sunday. So I'd like to see all those model releases, and I never would have discussed this with her, right? And you're not using rubbers. That's the other thing. A lot of these guys are uncut, which is like great and everything, but I can say that because you're Jewish.
Yeah.
I think that's great. It's amazing. It just
Yeah.
is corny. But you don't need to be having that shit in you. You do not need smegma in you. And why would anyone sign up for 2 pumps? Here's the secret to a gangbang. The fluffers are the ones doing the work. We had fluffers. So these guys are doing whatever they were doing and coming on the fluffers. I didn't have to do the work. And I've never had a complaint about my punani either. But it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
look, ask any respectful 27. It's too old. But I know. But it's just really, it's disgusting. And they're doing it for clicks. So then the clicks were gone, right? Because I did all those interviews with the Daily Mail, the Sun, all these things. And then now your clicks are gone. Now what? Oh, I got knocked up. I got the gangbang. So now, okay, IVF is a privilege in this country. There are couples who cannot have kids, and it's kind of taking a jab at them and taking a jab at sex assault victims. Oh, well, I'm saving you from having sex with these men with this gangbang because you don't want to be slapped around. How do you know I don't like being slapped around on my hair pulled? You're not saving me. There's some women that are not game for that.
So her argument is that she's preventing rape in the UK by doing this 1,000 gangbang thing.
Bonnie Blue claims sex stunts are protecting women as she hits back at jealous critics. Because you're fucking close. You're going to age like shit, by the way.
Yeah, like I'm trying to understand like the logic in what she's trying to do because I'm not familiar. Like I tuned it out because I didn't want to contribute to the hotardery that is going on out there. But listen, Jasmine, there's high hotard activity everywhere, and I want to talk to your viewers of like if you see high hotard activity anywhere. Forward it to Jasmine, forward it to me, because it makes for good fodder for shows like this to make fun of it. Because I see it a lot, and there's a reason why I don't follow a lot of people from the porn industry because it's like it's brain rot essentially, especially when a lot of these girls start wading into politics and political topics because it's like. You're getting threads and morsels of information through TikTok and you're making it your cause, right? Now, for some of them, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of other causes you could take up. Like save some dogs, rescue dogs, right? Or if dogs aren't your thing, rescue cats, right? Or if humans are your thing and you don't like animals, well, you're a sex worker. Start standing up for sex worker rights. That's a good cause. When I start seeing these hotards with their pro-Palestine horseshit, it makes me mental because I really want to ask them, what do you know about this 3,000 year conflict that you're summarizing to be your social virtuing?
But here's the problem. You're speaking about people who've never picked up a history book. And I invited that girl into the podcast. They were all invited. I don't know if they're scared that I'd go after them or something. Because I've been really nice tonight. But it's because they're clueless. Now, people like that argue with emotion. They don't use logic. So they're not sitting here thinking it through like you and I are. And how is this girl? Her name is Whitney Wright. She's kind of fat, kind of plain looking. And her agent is a guy named Spiegler, who's Jewish. So does this thought make you that much money that you're going to turn your cheek while this woman is technically supporting violence on your people? I mean, there's that fine line of business and versus personal, but it's really offensive. Hollywood has a lot of Jews. So when you have actors pro-Palestine, how does that work? A friend of mine was living with a Jewish girl. He's a boxer, and she kicked him out after he came home from a show. He was holding up Palestine flags at the show.
Of course.
He wanted to
Yeah.
walk in the street. Well, let me tell you why, bud.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's the thing. I really would love to sit down with these people and figure out, like, just tell me what you know or if you think you know about the whole topic, and then I can really get an assessment. My feeling is that they just don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and it just becomes this topic they can put in their bio in their Twitter. But here's the thing. Now I could talk about Spiegler and I could talk about Whitney Wrong because I know them. Whitney Wrong.
Silly. Okay.
Yeah. So I've known Spiegler since 2006. He was a big agent. There was a time when being a Spiegler girl was like a coveted and important thing that actually mattered. It doesn't really matter anymore. And to me, what I noticed was for a good 13 years, Spiegler had a pretty good grip on his roster in terms of their behavior and their outbursts and their lunacy. He was really protecting them from themselves. That's what was happening. Now, this Whitney Wright, I shot her twice. I don't remember the second time. The first time I saw her, I was like, okay, she's a nice girl. You nailed it. Pretty plain, right? But she had like this dull look in her eyes that was like 1,000-yard stare. Like you look at her, you're like, hi, Whitney, how are you? And she's like, hi, like that. And you're just like, oh. Now, I remember the first shoot because it didn't go well. That day was an anal scene. And the guy that she was working with was a guy named Jake Adams, who is no longer with us. He died on his motorcycle about 3 or 4 years back. Yeah. And it wasn't a good scene. Like he couldn't stay hard. The reason why he couldn't stay hard was because that day, unfortunately, and this happens with anal, and it's cool, she was colonically challenged,
Spit it out.
There was duty, and it was making him limp. That's what was happening. So I get it, but I don't know, like I left that day thinking, okay, like whatever, but you used to get to a point where if a Spiegler girl was coming to your set, I knew I was like, oh, we're going to have a great day. We're talking about a consummate professional. But like he kind of lost his way in terms of having that kind of control, or at least, that the Spiegler girl thing lost its luster. I'd say probably around 2018, 2019, or I think like he was getting older, he was having health issues, he couldn't control the girls. So now it's at a point where this girl is on his roster, even though she's pro-Palestine, traveling to Syria, going to Iran, going to Afghanistan, and being a pro-Palestine person. The Spiegler I know from like 15 years ago have been like, yo, Toots, you're out of here. He used to talk like this, like short guy, kind of like the Penguin, like if you want a visual. But yeah, he'd be like, Whitney, you got to get that pro-Palestine shit out of your Twitter and don't make him mention it. And he would probably be pissed off. But now, I think if he were to do something like that, because of her 1.3 million followers or whatever, he would have like a jihad on his hands. And so she is still a Spiegler girl. That's like the long and short of it, in my opinion.
So let's go to some of the comments here. John Jay says she's probably trying to fit in. Yeah, you're right. And no, I'll be downloading the thing you sent me later. Hellstrom frosted him like a fucking chocolate cake. Yeah, I like this. But Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips are like all of those other lame TikTok influencers. But who are they influencing? Bonnie and Lily. Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips. Dumb and Dumber. Yes, exactly. And they do look the same. I like the Andrew Dice reference in here, by the way. So someone had a question. Okay, Peter Steele. Yes. So we just had Kenny Hickey from Typo Negative on the podcast. Everyone wants a Peter Steele story. I think the Playgirl story was in there. But there's another story between Peter Steele and Jasmine St. Clair that was not in that interview. And yes, he is hung, or was hung. What? I wasn't flooding. What? Okay, all right. I met him at the show. He was really hot, and that's that. Fine. But then we remained friends. In the 90s, Peter Steele came out to LA for some award thing. He was in Marina Del Rey, which is where I lived, where you met me at the post office.
Saw you at the post office.
Saw me there. You were too scared to talk to me. And then I knew he called me because we exchanged numbers just to talk about New York. It wasn't supposed to be anything, So he needed to buy a dress shirt. We went to the Express to buy a dress shirt. We went to the mall, the West Hills, not West Hills. It's that mall that was like the Black Beverly Hills area, really pretty area. We went there and we went out to eat a really nice dinner on the water. I went out with him, but then he came back to my place. He liked my cats, and he fed me pretty good. What? This shouldn't surprise anyone. Of course, he's good looking. I do not have sex with ugly men. I still have the baseball hat he gave me, but we were friends after that. It's one of those things where you just got to do it, And if I really have to count all the rock on one hand that I've had, I can count it on one hand, because like 2 of those were relationships. The rest were just, like a Peter Steele. But he was definitely in the category of a 10, and he's like one of the best fucks I've ever had in my life. I just had to say it. But he was a very nice, articulate person and had a lot to say. I could see why the girls liked him because of his eyes and his cheekbones, and he was just very off. It's very weird. The 2 rock hops that I had that were fly-by-nights, they're both dead. It has nothing to do with me, though.
It's not a curse.
No, the other one was Kevin DuBrow from the Quiet Riot.
Okay.
It was like this.
Sorry.
We went to a Vegas show. I met him on his radio station, and we were going at it. He was just being annoying, and I was being a bitch to him. He's like, "Oh, that's how you want to go." I said, "Yeah, that's how I want to go because you're fucking stupid. And how do you have a full head of hair now from being bald in the 80s or 90s?" So that's what I think set it off. You can say that to you, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, but that is what it is. Let's get back to this. I mean, I feel as though you're dealing with girls like you and I discussed this about the internet ruining a lot of things for people, as far as even, they're reading news off the internet. So what do you think? Okay, and this girl, her name is Whitney Wright, Wright. She is as plain as she sounds. What is it? Yeah, Hellstrom. Okay, sure. But Hellstrom put this comment up there. I can't read that. But yes, yes, you're right. So all I'm saying is this girl, I think, is following a trend of being pro-Palestine. And for listeners out there, okay, there was a guy on United Airlines, a stewardess or a male attendant, an air hostess, because you're a waitress in the air, with a Palestine pin on. I personally think that's very offensive, and that's fine if you want to believe in that on your own time, but you're in the airlines, you're in a plane. What if there was some Jewish person sitting there, Hasidic Jew perhaps, and there's a problem? How does that work?
Oh, you're asking me? I don't know. I mean, for me, it was like you talk shit and you get into a fight. That's how it would be for me. But like the reality is that like I want to ask Whitney Wright one thing. Like, okay, you were over in Iran, you were in Afghanistan, you were in Syria. These are places that literally would stone you to death if you weren't making it a publicity tour and you decided to just be there for literally a couple weeks, a month, or whatever. Like, if you're so ingrained in this cause, go over there longer, leave the cameras at home, and then see what happens. My feeling is if you were in the Gaza Strip, you would get a lethal case of cement poisoning is what would happen. I mean, seriously, like they don't like you, Whitney, at all. In fact, they hate you. So I just want to know, like, are you Palestinian? Why are you taking up this cause? Is it because like if you really dumb it down, and I think we really do need to dumb it down. If someone were to say to you, you have this people and the Jews are oppressing them and keeping them in one area and it's genocide. If you're a dumb person or someone easily influenced, you're like, yes, that's wrong. Free Palestine. And if it's that simple and that stupid, okay, but you need to be educated about this because it's a hell of a lot more nuanced than what you're making it out to be. So I don't get the whys of it. I would love to know it. Like she has this whole, I looked it out because I wanted to be prepared for this. She has this whole side Instagram account with about 25,000 followers with her going places in these hotbeds. But you do realize like they don't like women over there. They suppress women. Hamas documented on October 7th were raping women, were kidnapping women, were killing women. This is what they think about women. So with you being a woman, what do you have to say about that? Why are you supporting and being essentially a Hamas hole, which is what she is? If she's really pro-Palestine, she's a Hamas hole.
No, I agree. It's the same for the Ukraine war people, but it's really hypocritical because here's the other thing. And I have friends that are gay and they are not pro-Palestine because they would stone those people. One of them actually schooled someone that was doing Queers for Palestine. You know what they would do to you in Palestine? And you can't flip this whole thing into, oh, well, we just have to support them, blah, 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 blah. No, there is violence. You know, these people hate Americans. They hate the American way of life. Maybe this girl wants to do a gangbang or something and thinks she'll save people somehow. Maybe she should do that. Maybe she can wear like a hijab and do this shit. But, you know, it's food for thought, Vic. I mean, maybe that's where
Well, it would show her commitment to her cause if she was just being in the tunnels in Hamas, getting filleting all of these angry Hamas holes. I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it, but it's just disappointing to see it, and because like, look, you mentioned the Queers for Palestine. There's people on that side of the fence, the Palestinians. They call these people useful idiots. Yep. Because they don't realize that. So the way I say it, a Queer for Palestine is the same as a pro-Palestine porn hotard that puts that into their profile. It could be a guy or it could be a girl. They're all hotards that are pro-Palestine. That literally, it's the same. You're on the same level as a Queer for Palestine. You have no idea what these people think of you. They hate you. They hate you more than anything. So save some dogs, man. Leave Palestine. Leave that whole area. Leave politics out of it, please.
I'm going to take a quick question for you, Vic. Do you have any thoughts on social media influencers buying likes and followers?
I mean, buying them, it's fake. You got to have your organic likes. You got to have the people that are really into your cause. But yeah, I think everyone nowadays wants to be an influencer. So what do, Paul? Do they just buy like a million followers from India or something? Is that what goes down?
But I want to know a question for you, Vic Lagina. How do you know? Listen to me, sir, and you must respect Matakandi. Matakandi want to know. Okay? Matakandi want to know, who are these people influencing? Who is these people influence? They not Ahmed. Who do they influence? Like, I don't think they influence anyone, seriously.
Well, if you're fudging the numbers, then basically you're making it a point where you can collect money to promote shit to what? A million Indians that don't give a shit? Like, I mean, it's fraudulent in every way. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. You wouldn't see me buying friends.
I don't. Well, John's by prostitutes. They buy friends and love. Here's another thing. So I don't know if anyone is aware of the Belle Belle Gibson cancer scandal. Have you watched this thing on Netflix? It's called The Search for TikToker's Worst Influencer. Then they did a miniseries called Apple Cider. Right. So guys who are listening, this thought had claimed she was diagnosed with cancer. She then went on to convincing people who are on chemotherapy and suffering from this. And mind you, I have a very good friend that's in stage 4 cancer. to do these organic recipes. Gets better. Everyone falls for it. But how does she look so beautiful? She's not on chemo. She has a beautiful thick head of hair, beautiful skin, and is happy and functioning, right? Then the scam comes out. But Apple got behind her without even like researching. She got a publishing deal for a book without even these people researching anything. I don't feel as though it's a matter of you can't shame her, but she has cancer. But you want to know who this woman is going out there telling people these things work. Like, what is your background? So I feel as though you have people like Dumb and Dumber, that's Lily and Bunny Blue. I feel as though they would be that low. Do you think girls like that would stoop that low? Because they're faking a pregnancy, then one saying that she's saving people from being raped and, sexually assaulted. So do you think girls like that would stoop that low? Oh, I've got cervical cancer.
So I did watch this whole thing, and I did watch the documentary. So I'm aware of it, and the only thing I really thought of right away was my ex-fiance, who was a pathological liar. Seriously, where there's certain people in this world who have the inability to tell the truth, or they get a little bit of validation or interest from people, and then they just build on that because they enjoy the fact that people are loving them for their lies, and it makes more lies. But there are some, and my ex-fiance is one of them, who literally I look back at that relationship from time to time and realize that I probably have no idea the realities of what was going on. And it's better that way because it was all lies and it was all horseshit. So, but it is a diagnosis where you are a pathological liar. And watching her interviews, you could see it. You could see it going where word salad, kind of diverting, and you're just kind of looking like, I'm trying to find the thread that connects all this, but in the end of it all, you're just trying to thread horseshit.
Well, here's the problem I have with it. There are people, okay, so Apple should be held accountable. Guys, and by the way, thanks for everyone who's just joining now, coming in through YouTube. Sorry about the faulty start this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This evening, I almost had a meltdown, but I think I handled it well.
You did.
So we're now discussing shams and scams and so forth. So I feel as though, okay, so if you are Apple, you're one of the largest companies in the world. You're about to launch an app that helps people fight cancer without chemo, et cetera, et cetera. Who is your source? Now, at the end of the day, the court, Victoria, Australia, they had demanded her to pay 460,000 Australian dollars out, and they won't collect on it because she has a home that's $1 million or whatever. I feel as though that's the lamest thing. They should go seize that asset. In the meantime, she's trying to go around grift Ethiopians, and this, like, just finding a community to fit in. She tried doing this with the skateboard community. Hellstrom, the Casey Anthony story, I forgot what it was. Was it the daughter and the mom, Vic?
I don't remember. I don't pay attention to a lot of this shit just because it's taking up too much important space in my brain, so I forget.
But it's an observation of humanity, and I feel as though with Casey Anthony, I think it was the girl that pretended to kill her baby or didn't kill her. It was something really morbid like that. Now we're getting into morbid territory. But getting back to all of this, someone like Steele, like a lot of people should know, the adult business. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. The adult industry is run by Jews. It always has been, Jews and Italians. Fine. But here's the problem. How could any self-respecting Jewish man not put a leash on the hoe?
Well, you have to have this whole fine line. Now, I was thinking about this today. There's a performer, her name was Jules Ventura. I don't know if are you aware of her? Okay. Now I had a lot of good shoots with her over time. And then, you would kind of she would fall into this dark patch, and they wanted me to shoot her. And they said, her agent came back with one rate. The guys at Brazzers were like, no, we want to pay this. And she wound up accepting the job, right? But she came in with such a shit attitude. And her exact words to me were, yeah, you guys keep Jewing down my rate. And I'm thinking, like, she said that. She said that. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, okay, one, that's a very cunty thing to say. Probably like one of the worst things I heard in like a long time. And as a Jew, I'm like, okay, I have two options here. One, do we fight? Like not physically, but verbally? Do I kick her ass out? And do we lose the day and no one gets paid? And I have to explain because she said something anti-Semitic. Or do I let it roll off and we all make our money and I never book this fucking cunt again? That was the option I took because I was thinking of the greater good. But the truth is, it's like anti-Semites in general, they are very cowardly and they very like rarely say anything out front. In a situation like that, if it was nothing to do with work, I would have given her a piece of my mind. But the reality is that you encounter these things. I encountered it a lot growing up. I was the only Jew in my class. And usually in like middle school, that's when you get all of the slurs, the things that people say. But as people get older, they do it more in the dark. They do it behind Twitter accounts because they're generally big fat pussies that won't do it in front of someone. So I'm sure I had my crew. When you say a lot of people in the industry are Jewish, well, the truth is I knew a bunch of them. And here was the common denominator. We were all successful, very successful in the industry. So what I'm trying to figure out is why people hate Jews. Is it because like we excel? Is it because we were, raised right and we were told to work hard and we accomplish things? Like I really am trying to understand it because truth is we're all spit out into this world and we have no choice in what we are. We're all human. All of us are human. So then you have this whole thing of these layers of like people like hating people for really they had no control over at birth. So what the fuck is it? Like I don't get it. I really don't understand it. Help me understand it.
I don't know how stupid people think, I can assume, but I feel as though with this one girl and these girls that are, I feel as though they're clinging on to a cause, which is what John Joe said earlier. They're clinging on to the whole Palestine thing, just like people clung on to Ukraine, and they don't really know what's going on. They're seeing things that certain media outlets are saying. They're not really researching. Some of these people don't understand what's going on in Ukraine. These people don't understand what's going on in Hamas and with the Palestinians. Seeing people with pro-Palestine flags walking up and down the street and pro-Palestine signs, I think is just very uneasy. And they're not comfortable with themselves. They need to scapegoat. Here we go. Here's a very smart thing Jeremy just said. Jeremy Simmons. Because they are not comfortable with themselves, so they need a scapegoat to hide from their own insecurities. So you go ahead and glom on to a bunch of other idiots and, fight for something like that. But I feel as though, like, I get it's Google's business. Let him do what he wants. But there are some people who will not deal with her on the podcast. There was a publicist I dealt with, and I guess they had a problem with another thought, Mia Khalifa, and she said, oh, just nothing about her. I said, trust me, we do not, I will not breathe her name. I don't like her, and I don't like what they're doing. They're not looking at the greater good. They're sort of like these Hollywood celebrities that live in this bubble. Oh my God, he's unhoused. That's just so sad. Maybe we should just give them more money. Let them stay out there. It's totally fine. It's just fine. Oh, yes. Oh, okay, no problem. Oh, you want to expose your penis to my 5-year-old child? Oh, it's okay. It's the same concept, kind of, I think.
Yeah. No, going back to Mia Khalifa, she's a jewelry designer now.
What's the name of her company?
I don't know. I think she specializes in pearl necklaces. I think that's like the one thing that's her signature product. But the truth is, she was probably one of the most boring poor performers I've ever seen. Like I'd rather watch paint dry than to watch her fuck or grass grow. It was like do you have a heartbeat? Do you have a pulse? Like you are a performer. Why don't you perform? But the thing is, like, she wound up hating and talking shit about the very thing that made her relevant.
What was she saying? Fuck me, you infidel? Is that what she was doing?
No, she was just like talking shit about the porn industry, saying it ruined her life and blah, 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 blah. but like it's the only reason why she's relevant. I mean, let's be real.
And here's the thing, a lot of these girls, okay, so someone in the Daily Mail had asked me, do you think that these girls like Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue could ever go mainstream? No, because you have no talent. No one's going to be speaking about you in 5 years from now, even next year, unless you come up with something really, really phenomenal, but people still think you're a joke. So here's what it breaks down to. Normally, if you have no talent, right, you are stupid, you are a complete dope with nothing interesting to talk about, except, how everyone's jealous of you because you're a savior of some type. Nothing's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
But I really feel this girl's calling, Bonnie Blue, your calling is to help your country. You hear me? Your calling is to save the UK. Bonnie Blue's saving the UK is the best thing that could happen. You claim that having sex in your ridiculous orgies saves people from rape, from getting victimized sexually, like rough sex. So go out there, go to those migrants that are raping young girls and offer up your vagina. That is what you could do for the UK. And I wonder if this girl pays her taxes. A lot of these girls say they have like 50 million or 50,000 US dollars in OnlyFans. Okay, let's see the numbers. And are you paying your taxes? So if that girl came to the States and did work here, is she paying taxes here or there? And isn't it illegal? Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about.
She needs to have a work visa if she were to come over to the United States. Or she would have to set up an entity that my entity, if I were to hire her, would have to pay. That's how it would have worked. But with what's her name, Lily?
You do things by the book. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. But what was her? Really what?
Hi Jamal, how are you? It was Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips. So Bonnie Blue is the one who's saying, for those of you who missed it earlier, we're talking about thought right here. This girl, my sex stunts are protecting women as she hits back at jealous critics. So no one, like I said earlier, I'm not jealous of you. Nobody is. You're fucking gross. All right. The other girl is the other one, Lily Phillips, who said that she was pregnant after all of this. And then
yeah. So I did watch the 45-minute documentary on her too. And the what?
She was fucking those crocodile tears.
Well, yeah, she was crying after the whole thing. But the thing that was most telling to me was when the producer went into the room and said how much it smelled. Now that to me is why I would say she would fail. She would fail the sniff test 100%, because this was the other part of it. Like, she didn't know that getting jizzed on her face and down her throat, that she could get an STD that way. She was clueless. She was like, "Oh, you can," and I'm like, "Wow." So what do you think? Like, she knows about hygiene down below when you're doing 100 dudes in a day. That's why
I like your accent, by the way. Oh, hi.
Yeah, but there's a truth. Like I just couldn't understand. Like I could tell just by looking at her. Like, you don't want to go near that sewer anywhere. And the fact that any dudes are lining up for it, I just want to be like, yo, man, just ripcord it. It's not worth it. Trust me on this one. Trust me, I know these things.
There's a better suggestion. If they're that hard up, you like to make money, right? So just you close your eyes, have them close their eyes, give you the 50 bucks.
I don't know, man.
No, okay. I get what you're saying, though, but it's true. But here we go. So I know who Maitland Ward is. This guy has a question. Did you ever work with Maitland Ward, who came from the Disney shows?
No, I think I was supposed to shoot her. I think I saw her on the schedule literally in the days leading up to COVID. And obviously it never happened because that's when my relationship with the business ended. I will say this, I don't know anything about her. She could be a very nice person. I do know that she has been riding that whole, I used to be on Boy Meets World, and that's what makes me unique and interesting. I know she wrote a book. I can only imagine the contents of the pages of this book. Like, is there any depth to it? I haven't looked, but I don't know. I did see some of her work, and I was not impressed. I didn't see her as a strong performer at all. Now, maybe she's gotten better over the what, 7 years she's been in the business now. But I can't really, other than like assumptions, I don't really have any hard knowledge.
No pun intended. I have 1 degree of separation from her, Topanga from Boy Meets World, because I did those National Lampoon movies, Dorm Days 2, and
Mm.
she was in those. I totally forgot Daniel Fishel was in that show. I don't know what this girl's role was in Boy Meets World. Um, yeah, but you have a well-written book. That's probably why they didn't want to call you up to the stage because of your mouth, and they're afraid of you. I rightfully so, but I feel as though this whole AVN has gone so downhill. There are like a million categories. Dominique Simone had to wait 3 hours to get in. uh, Girls are dressing in Fashion Nova, not Dominique, by the way, because she is very, very elegant. And I bring the girls into my podcast sometimes, and there's not much of a really cool backstory with all, like some of them. Most of them, everything was cool. You know, like Tara, girls like that we like. Our favorites, it's different. You know, and the whole thing was when we were bringing Bronny Blue on was to discuss this whole thing. But I think she's afraid I would have revealed her, but now my gloves are off. And anytime anyone brings her up to me in a news article, yeah, I am going to reply back to you. And you don't want me, you know, doing this to you anywhere else but there. But I'd like to run into her.
No, I would like to see that. I think that would be a nice showdown.
No, it would just be basically, well, you know.
Well, I want to. You should. Like, can we formally invite Whitney Wright on so I could really understand how much she knows about the whole Middle East and that area, other than the photo ops that she's taking for her Instagram? Like, I really. She blocks you?
Yeah, I don't know why.
See that right there, it just means like you if you're committed to something, just show up and argue it, talk about it. But if you're blocking and running, it means you know fuck all about the subject matter. So how about just when it comes to politics, keep your mouth shut. When it comes to, you know, performing and sucking dick, open it back up. But don't do the politics at all, please, because you trust me, you all sound stupid. The only ones that have really sounded smart about politics are ones that are older, that have seen the world a few times, or let's say like if you're a poli-sci major at college and you want to get into politics and you were a porn star or are a porn star, I will listen to you because you're making a concerted effort to get educated about the matter. But if you're just talking in these like half thoughts and you're running away from conflict, it's very evident you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you're only doing it to get the views, the clicks, the interest, to have people talking about it. And that's bullshit.
That's very true. I think the other thing we're missing here is these girls aren't going out and researching things. I had a neighbor once, this woman, she's an ultra, like far left, limp, like nut job, but she didn't know what she was talking about. I said, so, and I wasn't arguing. I just said, so Jeannie, what's, like, why do you like this? I'm just curious. Like, do you know what you're talking about? This is what they're talking about, and this is what you're seeing. Instead of choosing a side and who you're going to vote for, and this is a very dangerous type of voter, they don't watch. Then she started watching CNN. She started watching Fox, Real America's Voice, OANN, MSNBC, ABC. Like, then she watched it and then made a decision as to why I like this, and that I can respect. Then you can have a conversation. Now, when you deal with people that don't understand, they tend to get emotional. What Hellstrom is saying is the world of instant gratification. Yes, people will look at things, and it's just easier to just look at this. It's explained this way. My friend, she does my lashes. She was trying to ask me things about Mayor of LA, Karen Bass, and all these things. When it first started, I tried to point out her associations with Castro and everything else and how she's underqualified. But she still voted for her. Okay, great. But, oh, really? Oh, I didn't know. But she still voted for her, although I told her that. Then she learns it after. These people, like, so, and in entertainment, I feel as though it's become such a hot topic. Like, I thought Cher said she was going to set herself on fire. You know, and I'd like to know what happened to Robert Reiner as well, to Meatball. It's, you know, don't do that. Like, I used to like Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Cassandra Peterson. Then there's a psycho photo of her, like, torching down a Tesla. Dude, did you put too much hairspray in your hair in the 80s and 90s? Is that what did it? Then you
Hmm.
have Robert De Niro outside of the Trump thing. Please, I asked the jury with his script in hand. Oh, please. No, no, no. Let's not do this. I don't want to watch Robert De Niro. I do not want to watch because I will never look at Elvira the same. I will not even I won't even bother for an autograph if I saw her. All because of this. Paul wants to know: do you have any stories on bad auditions you decided while shooting?
Or you
Audition.
dealt? Yeah, Paul, we never did auditions. I was always just assigned a list of girls they wanted shot. There was the whole concept of go-sees. Like the go-sees was a very weird thing for me. And apparently in LA, yeah, you would have a producer and then a performer would come over and then that was a go-see. And like I guess in some instances, the girls stripped down for the producer. Now,
What?
well, yeah, that's what I said. Like, someone sent like a girl over once for a go see, and she came over like to the studio, and I was like, okay, yeah, very nice to meet you. And she's like, you want me to get undressed? I'm like, no, like, you have pictures on your website of your agent, like that whole producer, performer, take your clothes off for me dynamic. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of gross, in my opinion. So we never really did like this audition thing. We were never casting for porn. It just didn't seem like the medium for it. How about you? Were there auditions in
Never.
the night?
I didn't have to do anything like that. No, I mean, I was under contract. I believe that there are girls that, like, there was a guy named Reagan Center back in the day who was gross. I heard that he was doing that with a video camera to these young girls, which I thought was pretty nasty. So from the get go, they're being groomed by this filthy old man and, doing porn. Who knows who they're stepping into a scene with? Is it Claudio? Is it Tom Byron? Whoever it is. But it's really just it's a slippery slope. I don't believe in auditions for adult films. What the person looks like. That's it. They're gonna go show up and do whatever. Whatever happens, happens. Que sera, sera. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Um, so you don't know what happens, and that's the problem. So I don't believe in these producers auditioning girls. And of course, it was a different time. Now I just want to try to get this. And going back to this whole OnlyFans platform, you could have 1 million followers on there, right? 250,000. But here's what I noticed, and I think I cracked this. Maybe I'm onto something tonight. Maybe I'm Einstein. Maybe I'm as smart as Gene Simmons. Actually, no, I'm a polyblock. I'm smarter. Okay. I feel as though with OnlyFans, the guys are there looking online, right? They're doing it that way. It's sort of like almost you don't get to know their personalities and they don't care. You put some of these girls onto a podcast, it's not that type of connection. Does that make sense? Like in the 90s, everyone had a personality. You did all these meet and greets. You got to meet. It was different. And then now it just feels as though it's a very AI, very impersonal way. Does this make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's like your direct link to the performer, and if you're not dealing with like a management company or a bot, you're actually having conversations with your fans, and that I guess that's the allure of OnlyFans. You're kind of getting a peer into the life of your favorite performer. So I don't know. I mean, I see a little creepy, a little stalkerish, but look, I've stopped trying to wrap my head around the kinks of others and what gets them going because it's just baffling to me at this point.
Yeah, I'm still shocked at Whitney Wright, uh, being pro-Palestine, and maybe she's trying to make a statement. But I wonder if there will be people that don't want to work with her because of that.
Well, I'm sure there's again, it seems like going back to the same conversation we had like around the election. You've got like that line that the lunatic lefts seem to make with people who did not think like them. And it was a trend that I tend to see that people on the left have the inability to have conversations with people on the right. Whereas people on the right are willing to engage with people on the left and let's have an intelligent conversation about it. But the knee jerk reaction, it seems, for most people on the left is, ugh, you're gross. I can't believe you think like that. You're the enemy. And that's why we're divided.
That's true. Now, I did go to a Turning Point USA event where it's younger voters, but you had kids from the Democratic Club there hanging out and having conversations like normal civil conversations with Republican kids. And there was nothing crazy. These are educated kids that want to go out into the world and do something, that go to school, have jobs, and want to be their own boss, an entrepreneur, have a degree in something. They're not like the undereducated woke kids who go to school with the messed up hair, smelling like dope in pajamas. These are kids that probably put on clothes like you and I did back in our school days to go to school and treat it as such with respect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so. And I think what's actually happening, and I have a slight bit of optimism, that once you get past Gen Z, who generally suck in every way, shape, or form, what I've been being told by friends who have kids who are a part of those younger generations, they are looking at Gen Z being like, wow, they are really fucked up and they don't want to be like them, which gives me hope that we actually might get somewhere. Like, let's hope. But yeah, I mean, there is the lunatic left that is in porn. And when I see people like talk shit about that, it warms my heart, because it's not the way to go about things at all.
No, it's not. I mean, people could do what they want, say what they want, think what they want, but it's just when you're dealing with a business, and once again, I cannot stress enough, especially in Hollywood, it is a lot of Jewish people. I don't understand, because I mean, how much are these studios really making from these movies? It's just everything else that's a remake these days. Nothing is original. So how are you making the money on these things? And I don't want to see, Charlize Theron and all this stuff. When they start getting political, just go act. Same thing with Meryl Streep. I love Meryl Streep, but just go act. I don't want to hear about how much you think Trump is a rapist. He's not a rapist. There were no criminal charges ever filed, and this woman could not even remember anything.
Well, no, I think porn stars and actors should shut the fuck up when it comes to politics. Just listen. You don't have to take a stance, or there is a thing of, you have an opinion, keeping it to yourself. Like, what you're doing if you start getting all political is you are abandoning one side of your audience completely. So just stay neutral. Truth is, it's like, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you should say it. And if you are saying it, or if you feel like, well, I'm an actor and I can be a role model, well, that's just fucking ego talking. Seriously, no, just be a movie star, dude. Be a rock star, dude. Just shut the fuck up when it comes to everything else, because it's off-putting. No one cares.
Here's the thing. At the end of the day, what people should really, Tracy Guns. Okay. So people should just understand, you don't really treat someone differently because of who they voted for, right? You got to go and treat them in the way which they treat you. I have a lot of friends that are Democrats, some that are liberals, but guess what? We're all friends, and no one cares about why I voted this way. I don't care about why they voted that way. And some of them are suffering the repercussions from some of their choices, but not personally, but it makes no sense, and it boggles my mind. People want to end friendships. And then on top of that, you have people that do not research certain facts and certain policies. I had someone that said, oh, Trump hates gays. Didn't he come up with the term LGBTQ or someone? And he doesn't hate gays. We just don't want people in our schools around kids. We don't. And that's what gays don't want that. Gays do not want drag queen story hour amongst little kids. No, they don't want to come for your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they want to throw away that, like, okay, Trump, he's a misogynist, Trump is a racist, but look at his chief of staff. Look at everyone that he's appointed, his cabinet. You're like, okay, your director of communications is a woman. An Indian guy is now like running the FBI. I mean, like at least have your arguments make sense. But the problem is like they use these things, and if you're not very smart or you're too lazy to get into the details, you accept it as fact. And that's really what a lot of people happen. They're digesting these short bits of information, and they're just going with it rather than taking the time and being like, wait a minute, I need to like really get educated before I take a position here. There's nothing wrong with it, but you should question everything. And most of the country and the population does not at all.
Well, two things on that. A friend of mine said that Pete Hegseth is dumb. Okay, yeah, he has 2 degrees. He served in the military. I mean, he's real
Yeah.
dumb. And it boggles me in a way because you're not looking at everything and you're just getting so emotional. But there's the whole issue of the attention span, which goes back to people not communicating properly, everyone doing it like this way, and no one's doing this, and no one's sitting down in person. And maybe that's the other issue we're dealing with. I'd like to know what Hellstrom means. What does Tracy Guns have to do with anything? Didn't he just pass? No, Tracy Guns. Is Tracy Guns alive? LA Guns. I remember the band, but yeah, what's up with Tracy Guns? Is that another musician preaching politics? When Paul Stanley came out and said that transgender surgeries for kids is a very dangerous trend, he was right. And I think that they banned him from something, same thing with Dee Schneider. But they're right. It's a dangerous trend to go mutilate your genitals. Then you don't
Yeah.
him later in life when you
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too is like the transgenders in women's sports.
Oh my God.
And like to me, it's like the people are like really like they want to die on that hill. And I'm just looking at this and I'm like, it's if you can't see that it is putting your finger on the scale and not keeping a level playing field, you're out of your fucking mind. I just don't get it.
Well, yeah, that's true. But then here's the thing. Leah Thomas took all those medals away and all those endorsements. Is he going to give that back? Leah or whatever his name is.
The swimmer, yeah.
Yeah, mediocre male athlete who had to do his retirement by pretending to be a woman. So let's see. Tracy Guns is an extreme far left, always calls people's racist for liking Trump. Okay, that's just lovely. Thank you. I don't think I'll be going to another LA Guns show. Did you ever see LA Guns live before?
No, I have not.
Oh my God. I saw them at this place in Marina Del Rey years ago, Scruffy O'Shea's. It was actually pretty cool. Like they were a lot of fun to see live. I mean, I like going to live music and it's fun. It's just a different story now. So here we go. So okay. Thinking about doing an ECW Jasmine when she first debuted in wrestling 26 years ago. Shit. And on The Simpsons. Yeah. I debuted in wrestling 26 years ago. Isn't that crazy? Who knows what's next? Okay, look at the gold and silver medalists in women's boxing last Olympics.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
That's expensive. But I feel as though there was a French MMA fighter who agreed to a fight with another person, and it was a man, but they had to agree to the fight. So she knew what she was getting into, but she got damaged.
Yeah, I remember one of the Olympic participants said it was like that was the hardest punch she had ever taken in her entire life. Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, you need to protect those athletes. Now, the question is whether or not the NCAA and the Olympic Commission are going to do the most important thing besides the obvious physical, like, okay, that was once a man. But no, like sometimes like you may have to do actual DNA testing to make sure there are no Y chromosomes in the genetics of the participant in that sport. If you don't want people to get hurt. Like that's reality.
Or here's another solution, just create their own division. That's the only thing. So Jeremy Simmons, I was the Italian boxer who said that she threw in the towel. Yeah. So she's, yes. But I don't feel that, sports will go in the right direction if they continue this type of insanity for young girls. And that's where the future is. You have guys that are coming in 10th, 12th place when competing against other boys, but competing against young girls who want scholarships and that athletic future, they're coming in first and second places, stealing that from them. And that's my concern. I think these girls, you have women that are now sticking up for this. So you're basically taking away women's rights from biological women, young girls that want a future. How is that? Like you're bashing feminism. So I call them fourth wave feminists, just like your pro-Palestine friend.
Yeah. Well, no, I think there's been the majority of the country, from what I'm gathering, it's become like an 80-20 issue where 80% of the country is like, we realize this is ridiculous. It's a very easy topic to settle. There should be men's sports, women's sports, and there should be no in between. But again, you have 20% that want to die on that hill.
That can't be that much. Okay, example, a friend of mine who was a professional writer, he wrote some shows, lives in Australia now, but he was being pitched to Showtime by his agent for things, and he was a middle-aged white man. This is at the height of all the insanity. They said, that's fine, stop sending middle-aged white men. Stop sending them over. Wait a second. Isn't that discrimination? Who cares? Click. And he said it's only catering to like 1 or 2% of people. Do you think that number is accurate?
No, I don't. And I think you start getting into a DEI conversation. Like, here's the reality at the end of the day. I just always want the best person for the job. I don't care what color, what sex, whatever. When you start saying, but you have to meet this quota, well, in certain fields, that's kind of dangerous, don't you think?
Yeah, especially if they're unqualified. Yeah.
Right, when human lives are at stake, like just to get the best people, I don't care. Like that's really what it is. It seems in some ways the whole DEI issue is reverse racism in a lot of ways. So I know, like, I think the intention might their hearts might be in the good place in a good place. It may have started that way, but it has gotten so ridiculous that it's really important that a lot of this is getting cut away, and it's happening right now, especially like Department of Government Efficiency, all of that. Like, to me, I'm getting to the point where the more I see these cuts and like this waste being cut out from the budget, I'm getting like my dick is getting hard from it, because like if we don't do something soon, our country is going to go bankrupt. We have a $36 trillion national debt that all we're doing is paying interest on. Okay. That cannot be sustainable. But the boomers that got us there, they don't give a fuck because they're not going to be around. We have to deal with it. The generations have to deal with it. So I always look back at the guy. Have you heard about the president from Argentina, Milei? Okay. So here's the deal. This country's in shambles. It's got mad inflation. He's an economic guru. He's president. What does he start doing? Slashing this, slashing that, slashing all of this stuff that is fat, redundancy, waste. And look what happens. They have a budget surplus. It's not that hard.
It isn't. And you go, like someone just said, show me the African-American tranny who always wanted to be a pilot, please. They didn't know. Chances are, show me the Caucasian women who always wanted to be a man and be a CEO. No, it doesn't happen. Show me the Frenchman who wants to be a tranny and be a lawyer. No, it doesn't work like that. Now that plane, I think I told you this once before. On Delta Airlines, my friend's husband works for Delta. There is an employee message board where they could talk. There was a transgender on there going on and on and on. And it doesn't make me transphobe people. I'm just giving you an example, right? Going on and on about his meds and how he feels like he's going to have a breakdown. Then he almost got fired. He sued them. They were afraid. And I think he would have won because one plane did go nose down before. Then he was back flying planes concerned about his mental health. They fired him finally. And he was unable to sue. Now, that recent Delta crash is their sister airline in Canada, Aviator, I think, and they pride themselves on their women pilots. I don't want to give the job to a woman because she's a woman. I don't want to give the job to like an East Indian person because they are East Indian. I don't want to give it to a French person because they are French. I just, I want to give it to the best qualified person. Okay, and that's where the other argument comes in. But these people are normally at a disadvantage. How? Is it like an undereducation thing? It's not because of color or race. I would not hire someone who is on chemicals for chemical imbalances because that could go haywire in so many different ways, especially in the military.
Okay. Yeah, but let's say I had a brain tumor and the best surgeon out there was a black trans. I'd be fine with her cutting my tumor out. I mean, that's the truth.
Are you serious? I'd be afraid that they get into a ship.
If she was the best one, then like here's the deal. Like that's the reality. The qualification should be who's the best at it, and then just go with it. That is really all that matters. But when you say you have to do it, Well, that's when shit goes haywire.
That's the problem. Like there was a in transition stewardess on my flight once on JetBlue who was losing it and like spilt coffee on people, was getting nervous and couldn't handle it. So yeah, I kind of have a problem with that. Didn't spill it on me. Then he had to tell me, look, I'm having a moment. I'm having a moment. I'm like, all right, can I just have my coffee or just something, please? Someone else had to come in and like take over. So what DEI does, it also like weakens the workload, because then you have to pull from your other staff that are really good, that are supposed to be other places, to fill in that workload. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense because I remember like my crew, we always had like that fucktard that we
Yeah.
all had to pull their weight. I mean, that was reality. So yeah, I mean, I think it transcends every industry altogether, but I think for the most important ones, yeah, like let's go easy on this shit because it's dangerous in a lot of ways.
And I want to see everyone work. I think kids need to get back to work, and if you shouldn't be at home on a federal job. If you have a child, do what moms and dads did back then who are single parents. You get a babysitter, get a trusted loved one. Don't drop yourself off at a public school in California, because God knows what will happen there. Did you know in California there's a law that any child who's, I think, 10 or over, or 11 and over, they don't have to reveal any of the medical records to the parents. So let's say you decide to go to school and identify as a sweetheart or something, and identify as a girl or transgender, whatever. They don't have to tell your parents. If you go in and start getting your gender mutilated, your penis, and get taking drugs, they don't have to tell them.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always tried to understand the other side of the whole story of, when it comes to getting on the hormone blockers at a younger age and the ethics of all of that. Because I really want to try to understand all sides before I'd be like, hard no, hard yes. And the arguments I've gotten is that this person knows that's what they want to be at a young age, and they do it because that's the time to capture the body in order for it to not be too masculine and it be feminine. Okay, fine. But here's my thought. What if, like, they are not certain that this is what they want to do? Or let's say that they are following a trend of their peers, which this whole notion of gender identity has become very popular over the last 5 years. But what about like buyer's remorse later on down the road? Like how much of that is in play?
So I had on my other show, Ice Cold Conservative, which is now rebranded as the Jasmine St. Clair Show, everyone, on Rumble, which you could pick up March 27th. We start shooting again. Abel Garcia was a detransitioner. So he was told by his therapist and the school in Riverside County he needed to transition at age 16. When he came on my show, he was like 19 or 20. No, then at 19, he decided he didn't want that, and they were brainwashing him this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
22, he detransitioned. He can't have kids. Mikkel says hi.
Hi, Mikkel.
Mikkel. So he detransitioned back. He has a great job at Bank of America, cannot have kids, and he turned around and sued the school, therapist, the teachers, and just a school board.
So you're saying it was peer influence, society influenced?
It was the teacher at the school who was gay.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about, and this is way before Trapping Story Hour, talking about inappropriate things in school.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was having other problems. It turned out to be a social issue with women. Not that he was gay and didn't like women. He just had a hard time communicating. Was very, very, how do you call it? Very awkward around women and having a hard time. So they suggested to him that he was homosexual. Then he went to a therapist. The therapist suggested it. There's a doctor in Riverside County who specializes specifically. Thank you, Mikhail. What's going on? Hellstrom says changing gender doesn't fix what's broken inside. That's why it's a suicide rate is so high in that group. And that's true. It doesn't. You can't fix what's wrong. You can't fix it like that because you still have emotional problems. But it's also not up to a trusted adult like a therapist to tell a child to transition. At 16 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to know the statistics of those who have buyer's remorse that want to switch back and the reasons behind it. That would be very telling on this whole issue. And I think it might even still be a little too early because with all the craziness that went on the last 5 years, it's going to take a while for that data to be generated in a lot of ways.
Here's what we'll do. For one of the episodes, we'll bring in a couple of detransitioners, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we'll do for an episode. I think it would be interesting here. It would be interesting on the other show, but have a couple of them on and maybe start showing people what the reality is. You hear the stories, but there's also a girl who transitioned and she regretted it and she's back to normal now. I think she could have kids on her own. Um, but it's a scary time. I mean, I remember when there was tranny porn going on in the 90s and it was such a taboo thing. Now they shame you if you don't want to work with a transgendered person
That's
and call
true.
you transphobe.
That's true. That's true. No, the whole trans porn took off over the last 10 years. So much, in fact, that Brazzers, who was known for just like the biggest porn stars in the industry, big boobs, big butts, that was Brazzers. In 2021, they released their first trans scenes on Brazzers with Xander Corvus and someone. But the whole thing was, it's like, well, why did you feel the need to put it on the Brazzers brand? Was it just like a decision because of the times we were in, or did it really actually result in more memberships?
Well, some people get curious about those things. You know, like when China from WWE did her Playboy layout, um, people were curious to see what her vagina looked like. And I think that's why they bought it. So people will, and I thought she did a lot for women's wrestling, but I believe the intrigue was that at that point. I could be wrong, guys. Then I feel as though um, with the transgender thing, people like to see a freak show and things. This is why they bought those videos with the girls with the triple F boobs doing porn. And then this is why we also had girls that were all these other weird hermaphrodites, and then you had transgender porn. I think that's why it sold. It was a curiosity thing. It wasn't a turn on thing. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, no, I have a question. Okay, so let's say you're a dude and you're not quite sure what you are sexually. And let's say that you have it in your head that you might be gay, but you don't want to be gay. So is the option to have sex with a trans? Is it?
I
And
have no idea.
is that like the asterisk that is like the disclaimer of, okay, it's not really gay because she identifies as a woman?
I don't know. I mean, I guess, or maybe there's some. Did you ever see the movie The Crying Game?
Yes.
I like the way it ended because that poor guy was shammed. Now, I went to school with a gay guy named Charles Onishi. We all knew he was gay and we all got along. He was a lot of fun. Then years later, I get this Facebook request from Heather Onishi. So, I didn't know Charles had a sister. Heather was a high-end transgender hooker, was stripping at scores, knew a lot of Hell's Angels, which I thought was very dangerous. I don't know if they knew what was up, maybe, who knows. Um, and it was very interesting because it was realistic. Now, this is someone who unfortunately, he's been in the public eye, but has a lot of issues with depression. They don't have that. Like, I'm surprised Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner, has had such a long lifespan as a transgender. And I like how he speaks out against it in sports and in schools. Like,
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple. Blair, do you know Blair White? Are you aware? She's on Twitter. She's the trans, like female trans that like pisses off the entire trans nation because she calls them out on their bullshit all the time. Like, it's an account that I love because I'm like, rock on. Like, you seem to have sense about you, and how like a lot of it has gotten literally insane. So she just calls out that insanity, and I applaud her for it.
I appreciate people who do that. I obviously, if I'm working with someone that's transgender, okay, I would never bring it up. You have no reason to because you're there to do other things. Mikael Nicholas, you wrote awesome. Hellstrom, what do you think? Okay, do you think you could get Nyla Rose and Sunny Kiss on? I actually she's a wrestler. I met Sunny Kiss before. So I would love to have Sunny on. I've never met Nyla, but I'd love to get Sunny because we had a brief encounter when I was working somewhere else before. But I just love Sunny. She's great. Hellstrom. My first time hearing about a hermaphrodite was the Gene Simmons movie Never Too Young to Die with him and John Stamos in Vanity. I'm sorry, was Vanity, is this the same Vanity that was in Prince? Does anyone know the hermaphrodite Vanity? Is that the same person that was in this film? And hermaphrodite can do what you tell a lot of your friends too, to go fuck yourself. Paul Corbin wants to know your favorite TV shows and movies. Hi, doggy.
That's Junior. Geez, long list here. Well, favorite movie of all time would be The Big Lebowski.
Oh,
that is, yeah, that is it. TV shows, recent ones. Landman was really good. I binged all of Yellowstone, thought it was decent. I mean, you talk about all times, you got Breaking Bad. That's one of the all-time greats. But I like Dexter, even though the back end of the original Dexter was kind of shit. They're slowly redeeming themselves and making it great again. But I can go on and on, man. Like me and my girlfriend, we sit and watch TV. I hate to admit it, but I've like taken to some of her garbage reality shows.
Ugh.
It's a train wreck you can't stop watching, and I get baffled at like why are these people putting this out there? Like why?
Because we have a shortage of good TV in the States, and you have a generation of YouTubers and so forth who want to be famous that have no talent necessarily and no acting ability, but they're there, they work for free, they'll do this, they'll do that. My friend was working on the show Aquarius. It was a Charles Manson show, and about Charles Manson. They hired a guy off YouTube originally to play Charles Manson, and he did not want to take his top off, so they fired him. So it's a sense of entitlement. They don't have a real check on the industry and how things work. Gene Simmons played a hermaphrodite. That's creepy. Yeah, that's who I thought Vanity was. I don't know if it's the same Vanity that I follow on Twitter who follows me back, but that's very interesting. Yeah, so that's reality TV isn't reality TV. My friend used to write on the Osbournes.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like I look at it, as someone from production and just looking at the manufactured drama of it all and how they structure it and how they lead you to think that something big is going to happen and really not that big, and they keep you on the hook in that way. But yeah, I sit with her. We watch this shit together. Yeah. But she's great like that. It's fun.
That's cute. That's so awesome. You're doing married.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everyone who tuned in earlier today at the beginning of this and didn't think there was a live stream tonight because of the YouTube glitch. I have no clue what went on, and I thank you for staying patient. Everyone knows I run a very smooth ship here with the intro and all that stuff. So I guarantee you, it's once in a lifetime. It's like, why does this happen on these days? I'm like so over this day. I'm not over it, but like it's like everything.
It happens. We had, like I told you, live glitches. We're about to have a 10-person orgy with double penetrations, and literally 5 minutes before we're set to go live, oh, we got glitches. Oh, we got this, and it would drive me crazy. So I felt your pain while you were freaking out, because that was me 10 years ago.
That's when we first started the live stream. There were these issues. So Vanity died in 2016. So it's another Vanity then. That's a very pretty African American girl on Twitter that's following me. But yeah, so something happened. But I will say this. Everyone's wondering what the next podcast is. It's the Jasmine St. Clair Show. So it's politically themed social issues. It's on Maverick Broadcasting Network, formerly Freedom First, off of Rumble. They're on this really cool new platform called Pickaxe, Pickax. So obviously I'll post more details, but I have really cool guests coming up. Of course, I'll bring you on because I think we can have some cool conversations. But getting back to this whole thing, take away from this, these girls are underinformed that are adult film stars these days. And this is why you have a thought, I'm used to this word now, talking about being pro-Palestine, and she fits in nowhere. So you're already in an industry where people accept you. So why are you going to go mess around with another thing where people will not accept you?
Maybe that because there's so many anti-Semites in the world that it makes her more popular. I mean, I'm just trying to really think of reality here, but hey, your legion of fans out there that listen, let's get some word back to Whitney Wright. Let's challenge her to a intellectual debate on your show and really figure out what she knows or does not know about that whole region. I would love to do it.
table, I would do it. I invited her. So if anyone knows Whitney Wright, Wright,
WRIGHT.
right? WRIGHT.
Yeah.
Please, we want her on the show. We're not attacking her. We just want to know where she's coming from with her thoughts on pro-Palestine while you have a Jewish manager. And we just want to educate her. We're not going to be mean. We're not going to be catty. We're not going to say stupid things because you can tell we're basically immature adults. Kind of.
No, I'm genuinely curious. And like, if she walks away and we break no ground, that's fine. If she walks away and I've informed her in some ways, well, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Educating one another, enlightening one another. So it's all in good spirit. I just feel she's misguided completely.
No, I do too. I truly do. And it's amazing how they're out there on the internet all the time doing this, doing that, but you will not really go and research and look up the news. Go buy a book. I dare people to actually go out there and buy a hard copy book and read. I love the scholar books. I mean, I take extra classes all the times for things because of the workbook and the textbook, because it's fun that way. Yeah. So it makes it more interesting, intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always reading a book, and now let's do a shameless plug. Here's my book. So everyone who's out there who hasn't bought it or listened or whatever, just go to viclagina.com, watch the trailer, and pick up a copy. It'd be great to support. Things have been going good though. Like, I've been doing multiple podcasts. You're the one that is industry adjacent that will still talk to me. Most of them, they don't want me on because they're pro porn industry and I'm here to goof on it and make fun of it. So they don't really want me. But I've been going on a lot of non-porn podcasts and they happen to find me very interesting, and it's been happening. It's been working. So.
Oh, here we go. Bravo for the Scream franchise. Yes. Owner fired Melissa Barrera on her pro-Palestine stuff. Well, yes, rightfully so. And, the racism, the anti-Semitism should not be tolerated anywhere. But we don't need to exactly, I wouldn't wear an Israel flag pin. I just don't wear pins. If I were to, I would wear it. Yes, I would wear an Israel pin. I don't really wear any pins now that I think about it. You wear an American flag pin, people get defended. People get very offensive. Oh, and by the way, today's the day. Excuse me for a second. The Star Spangled Banner anthem came out. This is the okay, fine.
No. Like, what does a fucking pin signify anyway? Like, if you're really committed to your cause, do more than wear a fucking pin. Because it's just like, oh, I'm just going to show my side briefly and not really do anything about it. Just kind of go into this category. Seriously.
Could be engagement farming. And by the way, Josh, thanks for joining us now. These are obviously up on my YouTube page for restreaming. So any of you that missed this earlier tonight in the shit show of the glitch we had, feel free to restream this on YouTube. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and always do tune into Crazy Train Podcast every Wednesday with me. But yes, the restreams are where it's at. And thank you so much. I think it could also be just engagement farming on her part sometimes to start getting the conversation going, and she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah. I mean, like, if it's that simple, hey, just say it. But just understand, by taking this stance, you're really alienating a great deal of people that perhaps really would enjoy watching you get gangbanged. Yeah. Like now they're just not going to watch your gangbang anymore. And if you're cool with it, well, okay, I guess that you chose your path.
That is so smart. That's such words of wisdom. Oh my
Deep God. Thoughts by Vic Lagina.
I mean, that's really deep thought. But yeah, make sure you guys pick up Vic's book. You can find it on Amazon. It is. So hold it up, please, Vic. Your book.
Yeah, it's called "Filthy: The Rise and Pending Death of Vic Lagina." Audiobook. I recommend. Spotify. Spin it. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, and thanks for joining me on this extremely casual Monday night. I have a Fago T-shirt on that someone bought me. John.
Nice.
Yeah.
The next time I come on, I will wear my F Kanye shirt for you.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Why would Kanye? Is he out of his goddamn mind? I mean, you're wearing a fucking
a swastika. Like, okay, like quick history lesson. If like Hitler had you, Kanye, he would castrate you. He would put you in a work camp. He would put you in a concentration camp. End of story. He would hate your guts. Now, the people who want to defend Kanye to say he's got mental illness, okay, so that means that I can go around screaming the N word on the street and I can just say, sorry, my mental illness is acting up. Come on, get the fuck out of here with that.
If it's California, you're allowed to do it. I mean, had a 3-year-old girl was slapped in the face last night by or the day before by an elderly, like an older guy, 60 something years old, or 33. Sorry, he slapped the shit out of this 3-year-old child in an elevator. And then his name was Ishmael, whatever. And then he started dry humping this woman, but they don't have enough to arrest him and keep him for attempted rape and assault of a minor. Yeah, it's really disgusting, and I don't tolerate that. But yes, guys, it is ending up to be that hour of the evening where I must bid all of you adieu. Vic, nice seeing you guys. Sit tight. Vic, I'll see you soon.
Okay, good night, Paul, Scott, and Jamal. Later. Bye, Jasmine. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you and so much again for staying. And those of you who just tuned in, sorry for what happened earlier on the stream. It's been a fucking nightmare with this sometimes. I don't know what happens. I guess, that's a problem with technology. Who knows? But yes, at the end of the day, be real. Stick to your true, authentic self, no matter what it is, because that is what will get you far in life. And also, when you decide to talk about things, research everything you're talking about before you step into a lair of the unknown or make enemies with people somehow. So make sure you stay tuned for next week's live stream. Subscribe, super likes, comments, hearts. Love you all. And don't forget to stay tuned for the Jasmine St. Clair show, debuting March 27th. Check me out on my socials. And most of all, stay frosty.